The search for signs of intelligent life in the universe may have premiered on Broadway more than 3 decades ago, but its themes still ring true in 2022. It's written by Wagner and starred her partner Lily Tomlin, who is also featured in the film adaptation. Now actress Cecily Strong is putting her own spin on it in a new production directed by Leigh Silverman at the arts and entertainment complex, The Shed. I took a visit to the massive institution located in Hudson Yards to learn more about their current offerings and their mission. Let's take a look. If you're looking for Cecily Strong on Saturday night, she won't be at Studio 8H at Rockefeller Center, or even on your TV. For every Saturday night in January, you can find the SNL cast member and Schmigadoon star in our real live theater.
Never underestimate the power of the human mind to forget. The other day, I forgot where I put my house keys. I looked everywhere for them. Then I remembered I don't have a house.
She's making her New York stage debut in the one-woman show, The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe, at The Shed.
I apologize if my dog interrupts us. She's very needy by this time at night.
Out of an abundance of caution, we conducted Cecily's interview via Zoom. If she gets sick, there's no show.
It's a lovely surprise. It's delightful. You know, it's at its essence, it's about the search for humanity and what it means to be human, and maybe that we won't get the answers we're looking for, but to find joy in that mystery being unsolved.
Lily Tomlin originated this role on Broadway and she won a Tony for it. Were you scared to step into her shoes? I mean, the great Lily Tomlin, Cecily.
Of course. I mean, it's almost, I just had to think of it as like, well, I'm not stepping into her shoes because nobody can step into Lily Tomlin's shoes. That was my only hesitation at first. I think I remember asking my agent, like, I mean, is that okay? Who would do that? Who would want to open themselves up to comparison? But it was sort of, I think, we're coming from a very different place, and it is very much like, I'm Cecily, I'm not trying to be Lily, I can't be Lily, nobody could be Lily but Lily, and I think the world of her, and it's like we're coming to the show from that place.
In the show, you play some feminists fighting for the Equal Rights Amendment. What parallels to today can you draw from your own life?
We're in the middle of talking about whether or not we're going to lose abortion rights, and it's like, they weren't even talking about that in 1985 because that was already a done deal. The whole show, a couple people have said, did you write some of this? Or it feels very modern in good ways, and then also in ways that are more upsetting, I guess, and just the lack of progress that's been made, or that the fact that we're always going to be fighting for these things in 1973 and 1985 and 2022.
Quotes from the play have come to me during these dark days of the pandemic, and it's kind of incredible to think of how enduring this writing is, because it's capturing this kind of existential anxiety that I think we all feel, and it does it while making us laugh. And what do we need more coming out of this very isolated time, this time of being alone and sitting at home and watching television, but to be inside of a dark theater, laughing and crying about the same things.
So safe to say dream project.
Dream project, lifetime dream project, yes.
At the helm of this revival is director Leigh Silverman. Leigh, when were you first exposed to this play?
I saw this play in 1987 at the Kennedy Center. I went with my mother. I think it was actually the last play that I saw with my mom. She died when I was young, and we sat in the front row. We got kind of cheap seats. My whole directing career, in many ways, my love of the theater, my love of weird, shape-shifting, theatrically exciting, ambitious plays, I feel like it can all be directly related to the night that I saw this show.
How did this particular production come to be?
It was interesting. I had a phone call with The Shed during the pandemic. They were reaching out to artists that they were interested in getting to know, and they asked me if I had something that I wanted to do, and I said no. Also, obviously, we'll never do theater again. You know, it was a very dark time. And I said, you know, I don't want to do any more solo shows. I feel like I had I had done a number of them, and I was not really in the mood to do another. And I said, but somebody should do Jane Wagner's play, because that is the play for the time. Like, that is the play that we're gonna need when this pandemic has come to an end, or a pause, or whatever it was that the pandemic was gonna do. Someone should do the Jane Wagner play. And they called me back and they said, we read the play, we think it's great. Would you want to do it? And I was like, absolutely not. But then, of course, I was like, absolutely yes. How could I possibly say no? I couldn't believe that they were excited about this idea.
How about being here at the Shed? You're not in the Village, you're not uptown on Broadway. I mean, this is new territory.
I had never been to the Shed before we started rehearsal, and this space is incredible. I mean, it's the state-of-the-art building, and the idea that Trudy would be squatting here at the Shed in an empty theater in a brand new building next to Hudson Yards feels in so many ways exactly right. Like, of course, that's where Trudy would spend the pandemic, of course.
Speaking of the Shed, I caught up with Chief Executive Producer Matinee Yunus to learn more about this unique and adaptable space.
From theatre to visual arts to live music, we cover all of the artistic disciplines, and we're really a building that celebrates the very best in artistic ambition, made inside what I think is one of the most exciting buildings here in New York.
You guys opened in 2019, but you really started to get going in early 2020, and then all of a sudden, everything shut down.
Yeah, it was pretty dramatic. I mean, we were in the middle of a show by Claudia Rankine entitled Help. We were probably into the fourth preview when suddenly the idea of this pandemic first started to kind of come into the public realm. We closed that show during previews. It was completely unexpected for us all, as it was for everyone else. We really put a pause on our ambitions, but we knew as an institution that though we couldn't invite people to come into our building, how could we connect with them in a different way? And so we started to invest in our digital content. We started to invest in commissioning a younger generation of artists through Open Call and our other engagement programs to also begin to create new work here at the Shed.
Where are we right now?
So right now we're in the Tisch Skylights. This is used as both a rehearsal room, but also as an event space in which we can have parties, where we can invite readings of work, where artists can come and use this as a space to develop new ideas.
How many spaces are in the Shed?
So we've got two huge gallery spaces. We have a large performance space in the McCourt. We also have a Griffin Theatre where Cecily is currently performing. So all of these spaces are unique in the sense that they're all completely flexible. So each time you walk into one of our spaces, it should be set up and configured in a way that you haven't seen before. And in a way, how many spaces in New York City can really boast of that potential?
Talk about the retractable roof.
Some might say, why have a retractable roof? The roof retracts and then we open up into a public plaza. This is a public plaza that can be used by our communities around Hudson Yards and here in Manhattan. So for us, yes, it's a great architectural feature, but it's a great architectural feature that transforms the intention of our building and makes us from an indoor space into an outdoor space in less than 9 minutes. I think it's really important for us at the Shed to really think about what does this moment mean, both artistically, but also to our audiences. So what are the questions that our audiences are asking and what are the questions our artists are asking? And in a way, how do we curate those experiences to allow us to have a really full and robust conversation with our artists and our audiences?
Making theater right now is an act of defiance. It is a reclaiming of culture in our city and for ourselves to be able to gather. It is hard. Cecily said one night, if even one person is able to manage their anxiety about getting sick and they want to come see the show, I'll do it for them. And it's true, because people have to work harder to come to the theater because they have to think about potential risk and not only cost, but actual risk. And that's just a thing that we've never had to weigh before. I would love for this show to live on forever in all kinds of ways. And I also understand and appreciate the preciousness of where we are right now and do not take it for granted. And it is extraordinary to be able to participate in this moment in that way.
How challenging was it putting the show up during this global pandemic? I mean, we're still in the midst of COVID. Obviously, this new variant is going around.
I mean, we have one thing going for us. It's a one-woman show. So, you know, I'm the only one that's not wearing a mask. I feel very much like I'm so honored and proud and excited and inspired to be doing theater in this moment, because it feels very much like New York made the decision that's like, well, we're not dead. And I remember friends from out of town like, oh, this, and it was sort of like, no, don't kill us before we've said we're dead. And this is important for us, that we're showing up, and it's like, theater is important to us. It's important to this city, and everybody that's in that theater every night. It's like, I'm here, you're here. We know how important this is, and we're doing this together.